it's all, it's all coming to an end. All the achievements, it was very achievement oriented.
Right.
And I could see it coming that there was nothing left for me to achieve. And then eventually I would have to become my own person. I couldn't just sign up and excel.
Hello and welcome back to Lunch Break. I'm your monocle-loving host, JP Pressley. And today I am very excited, honored to have a friend of mine, former basketball teammate there at the King's College, just a brilliant musician, Mr. Luke Borchelt, aka Airbud. So you and I entered the King's College in New York City the same year. And pretty quickly it became apparent that you were both skilled and highly talented in sports and music. And so just kind of curious, how did that start? Like when you were a kid, like which love came first?
Well, first of all, thanks, man.
Yeah, for sure.
It was funny. I mean, it was both from a young age, which I think was crucial for me, is that in my family as well as in my school, male involvement in the arts was encouraged. Not in like sports was a given, right? Like,
Right.
I knew I was going to get in sports, and my parents were going to do that. But my dad is a singer, and so is my grandfather. So
Okay.
in our family, like it's acceptable for men to sing, and that's like what we do, and like it's encouraged. So
Yeah.
I would say from early on, that was I can't say that one was first. I mean, if I had to say, I don't know. I guess I'd pick sports, but from the minute I was a sentient human, I was
Yeah.
doing both.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with that then, was there never really a struggle of balancing them as they kind of came in at the same time? Or like at some point did it become like an issue of having like maybe pressure to choose one or the other, or was that never really the case?
Mm. Yeah, I always, yeah, I would say that time comes because once you get to high school, like you can't do everything anymore, of course,
Right.
and college, and I think it was an easy choice for me. Athletics came first,
Yeah.
um, because I knew that I could do. I don't know. I could do music on my own. I was just by the time I was making that decision, I guess I was starting to think about making my own music.
Right.
Um, and yeah, so I stopped being in, I don't know, as many productions or plays and stuff, and
Yeah. Oh,
sports
so
took
you're doing
over.
like plays when you were a kid too.
Yeah, definitely was like
Oh,
involved
dang. I
in.
did not know that. Okay. It's like all the arts, like doing everything. Okay.
Yeah, audition choirs, I guess, and but I mean, it's funny. Um, like singing wasn't really part of my life at King's outside of Airbud, but
Right.
at my first college, Taylor University in Indiana, I was
Yeah.
actually a member the of a professional gospel quartet there,
Oh, really?
and I was also on the lacrosse team.
Yeah.
So I was able to
Oh,
do both for
okay.
a long time.
Yeah. Professional quartet. Okay. Was that like, do you guys like have like those barbershop outfits and everything? Or like, what did you, like, what's your
So
style?
we were doing yeah, we do some doo-wop and gospel, and by
Yeah.
professional all I mean is that we got paid. We were not like insane, but like, we'd go to churches on the weekends and
Yeah.
like do get hired to do like little events and do doo-wop and gospel stuff. It was hilarious.
Dang. So backtracking a little bit then, like I know you grew up in Maryland. So how did like you decide to like go to the Midwest and go to Taylor University?
Um so I was first committed to Belmont University
Okay.
in Nashville. And I don't know, it was high school, right? And you gotta be going somewhere. You gotta have some plan.
Yeah.
And at first one was Belmont, but they're kind of stingy with the scholarships. So
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, this is rough. I don't really know. I wasn't really excited. It was, it was just a
Yeah.
thing. My best friend Josiah, he's been my best friend since sixth grade.
Okay.
He came back. this was like April or May of senior year, and was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to Taylor, this school in Indiana, and I talked to the lacrosse coach. He wants us both to play, and I guess I was like, you know what? What else am I gonna do? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I wanted something to be excited about,
Yeah.
and so I went to that school, never having visited, sight
Let's
unseen.
see.
I said,
More
this is
power
where
to
I'm
you.
going.
Yeah. More power to you. Also, like, heck of a friend then too. Like
Yeah,
to
yeah,
convince you, and like kind of, I guess, like I'm assuming like he was advocating on your behalf too, like to the coach, like, hey, yeah, I'll come, but like you should also check out my friend. Like that's awesome. That is really awesome.
yeah. He's a good friend. I'm not. I don't know if looking back, I don't know if he was trying to convince me to come there, but
Yeah.
I was just like, hey, I'm coming with you, buddy.
Had to. But yeah, that's awesome. And then you joined the quartet.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and obviously
Gotcha.
you know
Do
about
everything.
Taylor, your buddy
Yeah.
Nathaniel's there
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
lacrosse team as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I do have to quick aside. He uh he was very frustrated with me afterwards because he know that you were Airbud. And
No,
like so like afterwards, like I think it was like later that day, night or whatever, because like you always go back for the silent night game, which I can't blame you. Like it's phenomenal. Like it's an amazing
yeah,
part of college basketball in general, and like let alone that it's like you went there, like you get to do that. So, but like yeah, he was frustrated at me. Let me know about it. Like you could have told me. Like I had no idea. Like I heard of Airbud and all this. I know he was in my car for like however long it was.
you're joking.
Nah,
You're
so like I
joking,
was
bro.
like I'm sorry. That's on me. But
Uh,
yeah. So like he
so
was
he had like heard of me before or something.
yeah, he had
That's
heard of you, like you're yeah, still the talk of the town at Taylor. So and with that, I guess transition for a little bit the audience too. So you had left Taylor to go to the King's College. Um
yes.
Curious like what led to that decision. Because that's a big move on many levels. Your best friend. But then B, like there's like Indiana to New York City is no small shift just in terms of way of life, and it's just like culture. And then also like King's College is very small, didn't have a lacrosse team.
Yeah. Um, so a lot of factors, a lot of factors, a lot of like little things that led to it all. But the first thing was that I met um, my other best friend and kind of like I call him my friendager. He's like
Okay.
an acting manager, Craig Wishart.
Oh yeah, yeah,
He and
yeah.
I met after my freshman year of school,
Mm.
and um, he was like, we had mutual friends, but we had never hung out, and he invited me over, and we just became tight instantly.
Okay.
And I would say he's the first one to plant the seed because he was transferring to Kings from a school in Maryland,
Mm.
and he was like, "Dude, this school is incredible. You would love it if you and I are getting along so well. I think we are both interested in I don't know academics and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't know just big whatever Kings is about." He was
Yeah.
like, "I think you would like it, man. You should check it out." And I was like, "Whatever. I don't know." I was not. I like to be clear. I was not dissatisfied with Taylor University in any way.
Yeah.
But I was kind of indifferent. I didn't see. I could not see the vision at Taylor University. I would say of like where it was going to take me and where I was going to go.
Yeah.
And so he planted that seed, and I was back at Taylor my second semester of my sophomore year. Um, and I was invited in February to go to a conference in Pittsburgh. It was like
Okay.
it was called Jubilee. It was a
Oh
Christian
yeah, yeah.
college. It was a CCO conference,
Okay.
and with like a high school teacher from back home invited me, and it was so random. So me and my best friend
Okay.
Josiah from Taylor, we head out to Pittsburgh to go to this conference, and I shit you not, Gregory Thornbury is giving a speech after all that Craig's told
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Old
he gives
president
a
of the King's
speech.
College. Yeah.
Yes, Gregory Thornberry, old president of the King's College, and he gives a talk called Cain, Abel, and Kanye West, which, if you know me, Kanye West is in my top 3 influences. Probably put
Yeah.
him at number 1 if I had to.
Yeah.
And
No,
so he talks about how Christians should be um, more like Abel, and more like Kanye, essentially, in the
yeah.
fact that, and I mean, the whole room is silent at this point.
Yeah.
He's like, Christians should be more like Kanye West. That guy pours everything he has into his art and his life. He goes 100% to the point that he had to go to rehab. Like no gift is good enough for his wife. So he hand makes every single gift he gives her, every birthday gift, every Christmas gift. He doesn't buy things for her. And in his music, he's tireless. Like he is always creating, always working, always bending the genre. He's at the top of his field. And he's like, Christians should be like that. We should be as excellent in our careers and our passions as we are in our spirituality. That was basically the gist of it.
Right.
Which set up for the King's College. And the King's College is a place that's about that, right? It's all about academics as an outpouring of your faith, as opposed to, like mixing the two. Like academic excellence is just as much a part of your faith as going to church, or you know what I mean, something like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, this is intriguing me. So I talked to him afterwards. I'm like, is this what the King's College is about? And he's like, absolutely. You should come check it out. And I'm like, all right. And then, so that happens. I'm like, whoa, this is weird.
Yeah.
And then on the 3rd day of the conference, guess who's the keynote speaker?
Who?
Dr. Anthony Bradley.
Okay.
Is the keynote speaker to end the conference.
Yeah.
And, he just walked in there and blew my mind. And he gives an almost opposing viewpoint, but like not contradictory. But his viewpoint is that like all of us Christian 20-somethings, college-age Christians, we are way too worried about our standing with God, and we give ourselves no grace.
Yeah.
He's like, I have people come to me all the time. They like, why I don't do enough? Am I doing enough? I'm not doing enough mission work. I'm not doing enough this. I'm not getting good enough grades, or I need to be nicer, blah, blah.
Right.
And it's basically like, you guys drive yourselves insane. Trust me, you're good with God.
Yeah.
Like God is working on you. He's with you. You need to focus less on that. Like you're doing enough.
Yeah.
And so both of those things blew my mind. And so then I'm like, okay, shoot, all right, check out King's College.
Yeah.
I started applying, I get in. And then I would say the icing on the cake is I went home for Easter that year. And you hear this in my song Mariposas, but I went home and I met my ex-girlfriend. But she and I fell in love at that time.
Okay.
And she went to Pace, which is right next to King's.
Right. Yeah.
And so all of those things together, Craig, the conference, being indifferent at Taylor, and my girlfriend just sent me over to New York City.
There you go. No, that's amazing. And for people in the audience, yes, you can get 2 sides, the same coin, without contradicting each other, but just like let you decide what you want to follow at the King's College. You got Dr. Gregory Thornberry, past president. You got Dr. Anthony Bradley, who's still there. Check it out at tkc.edu.
Yeah, man.
I'm hoping
I am the
that,
biggest advocate for the King's College.
Yeah. Hoping that they give us like some, I don't know, help with loan repayment and everything. If we do this enough, just maybe probably not going to happen, but you never know. But you mentioned though that it was Craig who helped you kind of point you in the, I don't want to say right direction per se, but like he was the one who planted the seed, were your words.
Yes.
And so with that, you said like you enjoyed your time at Taylor, nothing wrong there, but was it more so that you had a vision for yourself and like things that you wanted to do, and that the King's College helped more align with that, or were you not sure quite yet?
Yeah, I think music was always in the back of my mind at that point,
Hmm.
though I was still at a very small point. I actually created the most when I was at Taylor, which is funny enough.
Okay.
I wrote a lot of good songs at Taylor, and um, yeah, so I think New York was a vision of somewhere that music could happen for me, for sure.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
Craig, as much as Craig wanted me to come to the King's College, he also was like, if you want to do this music for real, at this point he's getting interested, and I'm showing him things, and he's loving them, and beyond our friendship, he's beginning to become the first, like, I don't know. He is the first big advocate of my music. Like, I'm
Gotcha.
gonna stand
Okay.
with you, and
Yeah.
I want this to happen.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make this happen. And so he was like, New York is a great place for that. So you should think about that. But what it came down to, honestly, JP, we can run around here all day, but
Yeah.
it was the same price for me to live in New York City as it was for me to go to Taylor.
Okay.
Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I was able to graduate on time because I was able to transfer in 58 credits.
There you
So
go.
I was only
Yeah.
2 credits behind when I transferred in. So I would
Yeah.
still be able to graduate on time with all of my peers.
Right.
And thirdly, it offered me the academic rigor that what I was lacking and missing at Taylor.
Yeah.
And it was when I got to Kings, it was the most insane kick in the pants
Yeah.
ever,
Yeah.
which pushed me on to do the best I ever had academically, as opposed to Taylor, where I
No.
was
Yeah.
kind of coasting. At
Yeah.
Kings, I did better academically than I ever had in my entire life, and that's because
Right.
of the rigor and what I loved studying there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. No, similar for me. Like I transferred in with some credits from Crown College in Minnesota. And that first semester, like a couple weeks in, I'm like, what? Like I have D's and F's for the first time. What the and like eventually though you turn it around and like it really does kind of extract the best out of you.
yeah,
And like make you truly live up to your academic potential, instead of like coasting by and like still getting the grades somewhere else. Um, with that though, like you had that three combo attack. I was gonna say punch, but that doesn't sound right. But uh, so once you were in New York City, then what was it that you started to do differently? How did you start moving about the music scene? Like I kind of saw some of the things you were doing a little bit more firsthand directly at Kings, but then you and Craig were also started booking shows elsewhere as well, and just producing music in New York City. So what was that shift like for you?
yeah. So um, the first thing I did in New York was start preseason for soccer. Um, when we moved into Bed-Stuy.
Yeah.
But then after that, um, the other thing about being in New York is I was close to home. At Taylor, I
Yeah,
was
fair enough.
10 hours from home.
Yeah,
At New York, I was 3.5.
there you
And
go.
I record all my music at home, and my band is there.
Okay.
So, I started going home more, and we started recording and practicing as a band.
Yeah.
Um, B was Craig and I began to go to shows. That's kind of how it starts.
Okay.
There's a guy named Matt Salovich. He's a Kings alum.
Hmm.
He was a booking agent at Rockwood Music Hall in LES, and he would invite us to be on the guest list for shows he was putting on.
Right.
And so we just started going, and that's when the magic started happening. I began to see, and I began to talk to these guys, and he gets to say, you could do a show here. I could get you in.
Yeah.
And then I talked to the band. I'm like, we want to do this, and that's how we start getting the ball rolling. So we ended up doing, I don't know, 3, 4 shows at Rockwood by now.
Okay. Wow.
Thanks to him kind of getting us in the door. Uh, yeah, and then it was a lot of open mics at Kings, I would say.
Okay.
Taking any opportunity to get my music out there,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
name.
Was that tough to balance? Because I know you had been doing lacrosse and your music at Taylor, but then Kings, new city, kind of like going a little bit different route, I'll say, with your music, with Craig, and then you mentioned you were doing soccer, and then you also joined and started on the basketball team as well. And so that's a lot of that's a lot of new things kind of all at once. So like what was balancing that all like?
Um, I don't think I did balance it that well, if I'm being honest with you.
Mm.
Um, I think part of the beauty of coming to New York was I just began to say yes to
Okay.
everything, right? I didn't
Yeah.
come here to play basketball, but when
Right.
they were like, you can play on the basketball team, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, heck yeah, get me in there. And that's part of the beauty of
Yeah.
it. Let's be honest. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to knock that at all.
Right.
It was such a blessing to be able to do new things I didn't think I could do. I never thought I could play college basketball. I never thought that
Yeah.
I could play college soccer.
Yeah.
And I just got to say yes, and I'm gonna do this, and I love this college finally, and I making new friends that people I felt like I've known my whole life.
Yeah.
Um, but what it did lead to was a lot of sleep deprivation, um, as I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom still get
Because
on
I
my
was
nerves.
also, yeah, because I was also trying to um, incubate a new relationship with my girlfriend at the time,
Right.
and
Right.
that caused a lot of struggle.
Yeah.
That like really hurt us, me doing all these things, and it also I began to drink more, as we can get into later, but um, these thoughts always change. They're ever changing, but
Right.
I think maybe that I was constantly pouring out into all these activities
Mm.
and going 100% all the time, and I was not filling up
Right.
myself with the Lord or anything, or taking quiet time and like resting.
Mm. Yeah.
It was always going. So I honestly wouldn't say, I would say that I didn't balance it well. On the outside, of course, it looks like that.
It seemed that way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got to graduate with honors and got to do all these things, and
Yeah.
um, so I don't know, man. I
That's
guess
tough. Yeah.
I could either say like I didn't balance it well, or I could either say it's because I loved every single thing I was doing
Mm.
too.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
loved soccer. I wasn't doing anything that I didn't love. I
Right.
loved every
Right.
class. I loved my
Right.
girlfriend. I mean, dude,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was on
Which
top
makes
of
it
the
easy to
world.
say yes. Like it makes, kind of to your point, like it's almost a snowball effect. Like if you're loving all these things, it's so easy to say yes because it's what you want.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think I'd rather say to you now that it was hard to balance than to say to you now that I had a well balanced
right.
and what if I had never
Yeah.
played basketball because I said I couldn't handle it? I mean,
Right.
I'd
Right.
be pissed
Yeah. Yeah. Because then
right
like
now
you'd
upon
have
you.
at least now, even though like as you say you maybe didn't handle it at the best, you don't have regret. Like you
No
actually like
regrets.
went and did it and like you lived it.
Yeah,
Um.
man. Went balls to
Yeah.
the walls during college, and
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And with that too, like you've grown a lot. Like seeing recently, you've been even more authentic on social media and just kind of revealing things you've been going through. And right now, it seems, you tell me if this is correct or not, but you're more balanced now than you were then, and like doing what you love, but like you've come to that balance. So what do you think were the how did you get to this point that you're at now, where like things are kind
Well,
of looking up and like I know like we're kind of skipping some stuff, but like just like what are the biggest differences between doing everything you love and kind of being unbalanced versus doing what you love but having that balance?
that is a really good way to put it, man. That's
Thank you. Trying to get better at this interview thing.
um, that's another question. But how did I get here? I think I would say that things began to unravel at towards graduation, which would be May 2019.
Yeah.
Um, because all of these things I had poured into during college, um, my academics, athletics. Um, it's all, it's all coming to an end. All the achievements. It was very achievement oriented,
Right.
and I could see it coming that there was nothing left for me to achieve, and then eventually I would have to become my own person. I couldn't just sign up and excel. I would have
Right.
to. I would go out in the real world and like do this shit for real. And instead of dealing with that and leaning into that, I drank. So I never had to think about it. And I just ran as far as I could. I just kept the noise in my life all the time, constant noise. Whether that was alcohol or pornography or never being, always being busy socially, always having something to do, or keeping a screen in front of my face. That happened, and then after graduation, things just began to unravel. All of a sudden, being a star of the basketball team didn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
And I was just working in retail, and I wasn't making music, and I wasn't playing that many gigs. And music was really fun during college because I didn't have to work a full-time job, and it was all fun. And now it's like, well, what do I want to do? Music. I can't do that full time. People like it. It's good, but it's not a career right now. And so that all hit me very hard. And I decided to leave home, or actually I decided to leave New York and move back to Maryland.
Yeah.
My girlfriend and I broke up after 2.5 years, which I had never even dreamed of. That thought never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was gone. And all that was left was this overweight, mulleted, just fella, washed up guy, and that hit hard. That made it even worse. Realizing that made me want to spiral more. Yeah. And I just did all that until I got to the point where I said, I can't control this anymore. I'm powerless. I'm going to die. I'm either going to die or I'm going to live an absolutely meaningless life. And I think the latter's worse. Like I'm just going to be just stumbling through life.
Yeah.
And so I asked God to help me. Said I want to be different. I mean, I'm 22. I can't be watching porn every day. I mean, I just can't do it anymore. I can't be living on Instagram and like living off these likes. I can't be living off my college success. I have to move forward. And as soon as I did that, he began to show up. Okay. And I began to see God for the first time and what I felt. And I felt his touch and his presence. And supernaturally, he changed my mind. He changed the way I thought about addictions, pornography, and alcohol. And I ended up getting sober and getting into AA. Been sober for over 6 months now.
Congratulations.
And thank you. Yeah. And I started getting the Bible, and I moved back to New York.
Yeah.
And I moved back to New York to get this girl back and to get away from the old habits and to challenge myself again and to put everything into God's lap and say, God, I'm just going to move here to New York, this place I don't like, and I'm going to let you take it and just let you have it. And he began to show up in that way too. Gave me a church and a place to live and a job at Rolling Blazers. And yeah, I thought about this on the car as I was looking at your email. I was thinking about your email. And the truth is that there's nothing I did to get me here other than wake up every morning and not die and not kill myself and not stay in bed
Yeah.
and just get out of bed. Time is the only thing that got me to where I am today.
Yeah.
There's no quick trick.
Yeah. No, that's powerful though. And like thank you for being so honest. And like for just like yeah, being so authentic. Like that is that's real. Like that's real life. As much as like we'll see on Instagram or social networks or like these quick videos here on YouTube, like it's the reality is there in whatever you do, there is no quick method to growth. It takes time. There's no get rich quick scheme. You can't just like become like way more mature person overnight. Like it takes time, and it happens in that day to day, as you kind of mentioned, and like kind of just in that
Yeah,
grind.
man.
Yeah.
So I had to go away for a while.
Yeah.
And like I guess that's been the last 7 months as I've just
Okay.
been off social media, off the grid,
Yeah.
not just like working on me and God and becoming comfortable with being alone by myself.
Yeah. No, that's alone by yourself. So you just like before then I'm assuming like you just weren't comfortable at there. Like you mentioned like going and like basically everywhere you could to kind of escape. And so yeah, you mentioned already too like how like, you just realized that you needed to kind of change. And so in becoming comfortable with yourself, were there friendships lost or anything, or people that like what was that process like? Because I know a lot of times even as much as we distance ourselves from people that we know may be good for us or like upbuilding or whatever, when we're in our own dark spots, a lot of times we'll be around circumstances or people that kind of keep us where we are at that time as well. So were there like beyond the things that were more self-inflicted, were there any things in your life that you had to distance yourselves from? And if so, how did you kind of choose and proceed to do that?
Mm. Um, I think some of the if there was any of that, it happened naturally by becoming sober, I
Okay.
would say.
Yeah.
But I think I'd like to flip that around and say what happened to me was rather than cutting people off, I finally opened myself up to the love that people have been trying to give me for so long.
Mm. Yeah.
Because I think that is what it comes back to, really. It's not that no one was, yes, there were self inflicted wounds, and not everything was self inflicted. There was harm done
Right.
to me, there was damage done to me,
Right.
and hurt and pain. But bigger than all of that was my inability to accept love from those who loved me.
Yeah.
That being like my ex girlfriend and my friends around me,
Yeah.
who all they wanted to do was to love me and to be there for me. And I just wanted to put everything on myself and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
be this rock that no one needed me to be.
Mm.
And so when I was finally able to become okay with the fact that I am nothing
Right.
and that I don't have to be, and that all people want to do is be my friend and be
Yeah.
real with me and love me. They don't
Yeah.
need me to be this person that I was trying to be, this Airbud
Yeah.
guy or whoever. When I was able to do that, that's what changed. I was able
Yeah.
to see how much love was around me and accept it. These
Right.
people that all
Yeah.
they wanted to do was to have me come over and cry at their apartment and make me dinner.
Yeah. Wow.
and um, and so I did it because that's what
Yeah.
I needed.
Yeah. Superman doesn't need to be Superman all the time. Some people really do love Clark Kent for who Clark
Yes.
Kent is. So that's awesome. And moving to kind of like more upbeat stuff a little bit. You've been exposing Clark Kent more on social as you've been coming back, and your recent song, single, uh, "We Were Better." You kind of exposed that Clark Kent side of you as well. And so, what was the process like for that song? What made you just put it out when you put it out? And what's the feedback been like?
My producer and Craig. My producer is GDA Productions. He's who I've been recording with since the beginning. Only guy
Okay.
I've ever recorded music with.
Yeah.
And then Craig being my friendager. Um, they said this. They said that your music was good. Your music is good, but you told stories. You told metaphors, and you alluded. This this is you telling your story.
Mm.
We Were Better, my single, is the first time I'm telling my story.
Right.
Straight up, no metaphors, no illusions. It is just the facts and what
Yeah.
happened. And I think is that was huge for me to realize. And that symbolizes where we're going with the Airbud stuff. Is
Yeah.
just um being Clark Kent. I,
Yeah.
like that song, there's no tricks. It's
Yeah.
just it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
It's me pouring my heart out on the track, singing, and it's
Yeah.
raw,
Yeah.
and it might make, and I think it makes me cringe sometimes. I go, oh, that note
Yeah.
wasn't right. Like it was too harsh. I mean, he's
Yeah.
ripping his vocal cords to shreds,
Yeah.
but it's like you said earlier before we started recording, but like it just is real. Like
Yeah.
you can just feel it. You listen to the song, you're like,
Yeah.
he's not performing.
Yeah. No, it's authentic. Like
And
no
that's what
gigs.
it is to
Yeah.
me.
No gimmicks or anything. It's just yeah. And like I for one like am a huge fan of your authentic self as well, and like I can't wait to hear more. So I know that like as we're running out of time here, I know we went a bit long, but like I want to stop this is a great conversation. I believe it's going to help a lot of other people, and also like knowing you, and like I believe you're going to go and do so much, and I hope that this is an interview where people can kind of come back to this point in your life, uh, and juxtapose that with where you are then, and find encouragement in where you were, and just uh, courage to take the necessary strides in their own life as well. So
Yeah, man. I cannot emphasize enough that I've been able to grow, but I also know nothing, and I am also still in the absolute trenches of a healing process.
yeah,
You know, so I'm excited to look back on this and see
yeah,
what I think and where I've gone since then. This is by no means conclusive.
yeah, for sure. It's dynamics. It's not static. So story's still in progress. Um, with that said, like I know you've been working on an album, your debut album. Super
Mm.
excited for that. So, uh, what can people kind of expect from the album, and where can they follow you to be kept up to date for when you drop it?
Yeah, I try to keep. Um, I've come back to social media recently. Try to keep a presence, at least be there to chat. I love
Yeah,
to talk to people on direct messages
yeah,
and but yeah, I'd say Instagram. I'm not on Twitter, and my Facebook is not up to date, but Instagram at Luke Borchelt, LukeBorchelt, or you can just search Airbud one word.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, man, first album I recorded my first album in September, my debut project, and it was finished in, I would say,
Okay.
March, April, as far
Yeah.
as like done,
Yeah.
like April.
Yeah.
And so we've been sitting on it and getting ready to roll it out.
All
We Are
right.
Better is the first of 3 singles on the
Yeah.
record,
Yeah.
and um, I look forward to it.
Yeah.
It's very excited to have a cohesive body of work
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
opposed to one single. And
For
I've
sure.
just been writing constantly. So I already have the second album is already written.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay. You've been working.
I'm in a place where I'm so excited to get back out there and have this
Yeah.
music come out. It's definitely gonna be more rock
Okay.
influenced,
Yeah.
this album,
Yeah.
if that's what
Yeah.
you're looking for. Definitely gonna be rocky.
Yeah.
It's a lot like We Were Better in its rawness. There's gonna be a lot of rawness,
Yeah.
and we call it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like my coming out party. If that
Okay.
makes any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. And uh, before we conclude this interview, the formal part of it at least, I actually another question that popped up in my mind. I realized I forgot to ask, but how did you get the name Airbud? Because like first time, like
Airbud.
I like you told me like you were Airbud. I'm like the basketball dog. Like what the? So, like how did you come to that?
I mean, do you come to it or does it come to you, JP?
Good question.
Because it's like, I it's perfect. I love
Yeah.
Airbud. I've thought about changing it, and maybe that does come in the future.
Mm,
But it started in high school.
mm,
When I was a freshman, all the all the varsity players get nicknames. I made the varsity team. That was my dream back
yeah.
then. Of course, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it as a freshman. I'm gonna do it. And
Yeah.
so I made it, and the seniors called me Airbud.
All right.
Because I used to have, from the mullet days, but I used
Yeah.
to have
Yeah.
really long blonde hair, and they called me Airbud, and then it didn't stick. They left, they graduated, and
Yeah.
but when it came time to pick a stage name, and I started making my own music, I was like, this is the coolest name. It's got the
Yeah.
90s vibes, you know what I mean? It's
It
old
does.
school.
It does. Yeah.
It's just as like, it represents the energy that I want of like, I don't know,
Yeah.
dog, chill, family friendly. I don't know. I just love it. I love
Yeah.
the name Airbud.
Yeah. No, it's a good name. So yeah. So everyone listening, go follow him on Instagram. I'll be dropping the like his user at the end of this video. And then as well in the description if you're listening / watching on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, uh if you're listening to us on Spotify, just go search Airbud, listen to his music. We Were Better is a phenomenal song. He has many, many great songs. Annapolis Anthem is also tremendous. If you're from Maryland or not, it'll make you it'll make you curious about Annapolis. Like even like juxtapose that with Charles Barkley's whole Indianapolis thing and like you'll be good. So thank you so much for being here. And that will conclude the formal part of this interview. But at the end of this interview, and this is going to be no different as we are concluding this first season of Lunch Break, I have to ask, what are your professional sports affiliations? Like, who do you root for? Like,
I love this. This is easy. This is the easiest question that's all day.
all right.
First of all, JP, I love you, man. I am really thankful to be here and be able to have an opportunity to speak my mind,
Yeah.
and to share. And really appreciate you doing this, first of all.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to have you.
Second of all, I am diehard. It's DC all day.
Okay.
Skins till I die.
Yeah.
Nats, World Series champs, Wizards, Caps,
Okay.
DC all day.
Dang, yeah. I figured you were going to say that. So what I've been doing is I've been trying to convince whoever comes on to become a fan of at least one Minnesota team. So it's been I know that you're a very diehard DC fan, and also like you in Minnesota, like we have some stuff in common because not always the best at everything by any means, but like
yeah.
still stay loyal. Like the Redskins, I'm not gonna try to convince you to become a Vikings fan because you guys got Adrian Peterson, my favorite player of all time right now.
Hey, you got Kirk
But,
Cousins.
yeah, true. But like Yeah, you guys have been through it, so I know that's a true fandom, not just bandwagon.
Uh-uh.
Similar thing with the
Mm,
Wizards. Like if you're rooting for the Wizards right now, especially with John Wall being injured for as long as he has, even though Bradley Beal's still putting up numbers and they just can't win right now. But like you're a true Wizards fan. I don't care what nobody says. I won't try to go after those, but I'm not sure. Does DC have a professional lacrosse team?
um, Annapolis does. So I root for
Okay,
the
gotcha.
Chesapeake Bayhawks
Ah,
in the MLO.
what about
Wait, does
Major League
Minnesota
Soccer?
have one?
Yeah, Minnesota Swarm.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't know about
yeah,
them.
yeah.
But here's the thing. I like you said with professional sports, as far as the big ones go,
Yeah.
it makes no sense for me to switch to a Minnesota team. Y'all just as bad as we are. Like I'd switch to like the Celtics or like the
That's
Lakers, right?
true.
Because then
That's
I'm
true.
gonna pick a winner. But
Yeah,
it makes
yeah.
no sense to do that. Second of all, it's funny because my buddy, Nick Beckman's one of my best friends.
Yeah, yeah.
He is a big Minnesota guy.
Oh, really? Okay.
Um,
I did not know that. I'm gonna have to hit him up on Instagram.
oh, big Minnesota guy.
Yeah.
I love Minnesota as a state.
Yeah.
But yeah, if the MLS, I gotta take my DC United, baby. I mean, it is what it is for me. My family was DC fans before Baltimore sports teams existed. You know what I mean? The
Oh,
Ravens weren't
okay.
around
Yeah.
back then,
All right.
so
All
it's all
right.
about that. But I love Minnesota as a state.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. B, even though they're in the Big Ten with my Terps, I like the Gophers. I thought they had
All
a
right.
great year
All right.
last year.
Appreciate
They
that.
were they
Yeah.
were good. They were good ball players.
PJ Fleck. Yeah. All right. All right. Well, I will take that. I know when it's not gonna work. So I appreciate it, but also like it's a true fandom. It's really the Golden State Warriors fans that I'm after.
Bro, I'm not
Like
like a
those fans.
Cowboys fan or something.
No,
Like, give
yeah,
me a
no, like
break.
you're a true fan, and like you bleed DC. I respect that. So I respect you, love you. I'm super proud, honored to know both the man you are and the man you are becoming. Like I can't wait to see all that you go on to do, whatever you need along the journey, however I can help. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, thank you for doing this. Super excited to have you. And yeah, people, go listen to Airbud. Follow him on Instagram, on Spotify.
Love you,
Airbud.
man.
Spelled
Love
like
you
the
big
dog.
time.
AIRBUD. Alright. But that will conclude this first season of Lunch Break. We will be back soon in future with more conversations with young and rising professionals. So thank you. Take care. 2 fingers.
If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. Also, feel free to check us out online at youngandrising.com, where we have advice and guidance for young professionals, by young professionals. And most importantly of all, go Minnesota.